What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here for the Sunday morning week in review. Recording this one much later than normal. Usually I record early Saturday afternoon, but I waited for the Bucks Nets game to end before diving into this because I was curious to see how that would play out. Blake Griffin, apparently he still has a pulse. He looked great. I would not run out and buy his cards. The story of that game was pretty much the Nets bench went nuts. The Bucks didn't. The Bucks didn't shoot well, and James Harden hurt his hamstring. And last time he hurt the same hamstring, he was out for a month. So it is one game. Nets looked great, even without Harden. So we'll see what happens. I think there's a long way to go in that series. And even if the Nets get out of it, I don't think we see Harden for a while. We'll see. He immediately walked off the court, went straight for he was getting an MRI before the game even ended, which just makes me think he knows that he hurt it pretty bad. He looked pretty dejected the second that he did it. So we'll see. I think they can absolutely beat the Bucks. I think that series is a coin flip, even though they looked great today. The Bucks could easily still win that series. Them without Harden is interesting. Could they still win it? Absolutely, 100%. They could still win the entire NBA title without Harden. KD and Kyrie are that good. But that team's just really thin now. Like even more so than before. Like Mike James went off tonight. Are you really going to get that every night? I don't know. So we'll see how that series plays out. I'm not going to have a ton of charts and graphs today. I have a few things I want to talk about at the top here. I talked about some of this stuff I did a very quick live stream on Saturday night. May or may not have gotten a chance to catch it. Couple other news and notesy things / what's going on. My big thing was Friday night did the Card Collector 2 trade night. Talked about this a lot in the live stream, but once again, for those that missed it, I'll recap it quickly here. It was a blast. I had a ton of fun. I did not make any official trades, though I did sell a lot of stuff. I sold a lot of raw cards, probably close to $500 worth of stuff in raw sales. And it was like KPJ Color, Morant Optic Base, a Morant Blue Velocity, De'Aaron Fox, base Prism rookies, like that. Nothing crazy high end. Like basically a bunch of $20 to $50 cards, maybe $30 cards, depending. The biggest card that I sold raw was the Blue Velocity. Other than that, it was a bunch of $20 and $30 stuff, which I was perfectly fine with. I moved it at 80% eBay comps and was perfectly okay with that. So I will gladly move raw cards at 80% eBay comps. I have no issue with that. Made quite a few nice small deals around that sort of stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do with the profits from that yet. I was hoping to move into something that night, but I just couldn't find something that I wanted. There was 1 million people there. It was great. It was packed pretty much the entire night. I was going to make a video out of it. I checked with Ryan. He was 100% fine with it. I asked him when I got there. He was perfectly cool with me recording for the channel. But quite honestly, it was so packed in there and it was so loud that I don't know that I could have shot that well of a video there. So I just decided not to. I had the camera with me. I did shoot a couple quick clips. Maybe I'll just throw them in on something, but it just didn't seem to make sense for me to record video. I am sure Ryan's film guy was recording a bunch of stuff, so I'm sure the Card Collector 2 channel will have a much, much better video of anything I could do there. Like I said, it was very crowded. It was very hard even just to move around at some points. So I just didn't think it made sense to try to crank out a video that might not be up to snuff. Came close on a couple deals for some stuff. Was mostly looking for, I wasn't really looking for anything in particular. I came close on a couple Bakers, specifically the Prism Oranges, numbered to 249, the die cuts. There was a couple different ones I was looking at. There was some nice Acuna and Tatis refractors, but the guy didn't really want to move them. Um, one of the viewers, and I cannot remember his name, sorry, big baseball guy, had a really lot of nice baseball chrome base stuff. I really thought about making him an offer on some stuff, but with the national coming up, I don't know that I want to be putting a bunch of money into chrome base with the national looming. So I held off on that. But overall, absolutely fantastic night. A few market takeaways. And once again, this is going to be kind of a repeat from some of the stuff I talked about in the live stream. Um, One, a lot of people were looking for Baker Mayfield stuff. I'm not putting like a lot of stock in that from the broader marketplace because we're in Columbus, Ohio. But I heard numerous people looking for Baker. Do you have any Baker? Do you have football? A lot of people looking for football in general. But specifically, Baker's name was the one that I heard the most. Once again, not surprising. We're in Columbus, Ohio. So large Browns contingent there. People brought really nice stuff. I mean, there was some absolute really nice stuff there. A lot of big deals went down. I know of at least one LeBron Topps Chrome that changed hands. People were selling stuff to Ryan. There was all sorts of shenanigans going on. Good shenanigans, not bad shenanigans. What else? Oh, the other thing that I mentioned on the video, and then there's one big thing that I want to lead into, and we'll lead that into the charts and graphs stuff. People say, that we're ruining the hobby for the kids. Let me tell you something. The kids are way smarter and better at this than we are. The 8 to 14-year-old bracket was just hustling their little butts off last night or Friday night at that thing. It was just fun to watch. They have unlimited time on their hands, and they have nicer collections than I do, and they were just grinding. And they are little shysters sometimes, but yeah, I always laugh when people say, the kids, and the kids are better deal makers than I am after watching them and just kind of listening to conversations. So the last big takeaway, no one wants to touch LeBron. That was the biggest thing that I took out of this, is that no one wants to touch LeBron stuff right now. There was multiple people looking to move LeBron stuff. Every LeBron conversation basically started and ended with, I really like this card. I really want one of these cards. And you could substitute in pretty much whatever, from just random LeBron stuff to higher end LeBron stuff. But it's probably going to go down another 10 to 30% in the next week. So I don't really want to touch it, unless you're willing to go way under comps on it. And then the person with the LeBron basically being like, well, I don't really want to move it for a comp that doesn't exist yet, but we kind of all know what's going on here. So I guess I'll just hold it for now. The LeBron free for all is real. We'll talk about that here in a minute once we dive in. That's probably be the main topic today. But yeah, that was the big. I think that's definitely more of a global thing. Like I said, people wanting Baker, I think, is kind of like a very unique thing to where we were located. The LeBron thing, I think, is more of a global thing, and you could see it in the auction values where stuff is ending. So, before we dive into the charts and graphs, because I forgot, because I just started talking, YouTube nonsense down below. Like, comment, subscribe, market movers, eBay affiliate links, all that jazz. One other thing I wanted to hit on before we dive in the charts and graphs, and I did not do like an internet sleuth deep dive on this, so I would recommend reading it up on their posts. Card porn, again, absolutely great Instagram follow, Twitter follow, whatever. Did a very long post, and then there was a follow-up video from another channel once again, check out Card Porn's Twitter. This is all on there. The collectible app purchase of the Babe Ruth $6 million new record-breaking card sale. Well, was it really? Like I said, I did not dig fully into that, but it sounds like there might be some bad shenanigans going on with that one. There was a follow-up interview with the collectible app CEO, and I just did not have time to do this thing do justice, but I'm going with where there's smoke, there's fire, and it seems like there is some smoke surrounding this one. So if you are curious of fractional stuff, I'd recommend diving into that story. I have pretty much stayed away from the fractional share stuff. I dabbled with dibs for about 2 seconds and didn't really like it. I just don't think it's my thing. That's why I never talk about fractional on the channel. I have had fractional share companies reach out to me to do advertising, and I politely turn them down because I'm just not into it. So it would just be basically a money grab at that point, and I'm not going to advertise something on the channel that I'm not going to use myself. That's why I'm always highly selective of whenever I do affiliate links, or I've never actually done a sponsored video. I've had plenty of people ask. I would only do a sponsored video and or affiliate links for products that I use, which is why I have them for Market Movers, Star Stock, and eBay, because those are products that I use all the time. And I have no problems recommending them. But yeah, the the fractional share stuff just, I don't know. So I'm sure plenty of them are on the up and up, but this collectible one, there definitely sounds like there's at least something shady going on there. So I'd recommend digging into the card porn story on that one for more details. Like I said, I did not have time to watch the follow-up video. I was gone overnight for the Card Collector 2 thing. Just a very busy weekend in general. So with all that being said, let's dive into some charts and graphs. And like I said, we'll try to keep this one a little quicker than normal because it's a little news heavy at the top. Let's start with LeBron. Obviously, they got bounced. This is the first time he's ever been eliminated from the playoffs in the first round ever, I believe, which is insane when you think about it. His Topps Chrome PSA 10, we're going to focus on two of his premier Topps Chrome cards. Topps Chrome PSA 10, down 30% over a 7-day period. That is a $6,400 drop in 7 days. The PSA 9 has not dropped as much, but there has not been recent sales on that. I'm actually, literally as we speak, I will vamp for 30 seconds. I'm following a bunch of these because I am potentially interested in picking up a PSA 9. One is about to end in literally 19 seconds on a Saturday night here. So I'm going to watch this tick down really quick. So our last sale here on 6/3 was for $4,400. That was a 7% drop on the week. I could tell you right now, this one's at 4K with 4 seconds left on it. So we will see where she finishes up at. 4,200. So 4,200 is your newest comp on a PSA 9. So that one does not seem to be falling as much. I don't know if it's just because there's more people that can obtain that one. There is another one that ends in 31 minutes that's sitting at 3,800 on PWCC. So I'll see if that one ends higher or lower. But I am definitely tracking LeBron Chromes. I would really like to get into a PSA 9. I just don't know how far that they fall. They are still slightly out of my range. It's still a little bit more than I want to spend, and I do think they keep coming down, both between the market and just the LeBron getting bounced in the first round narrative. But if I bought it, this would not be a short-term flip card for me. This would be something I would be looking to hold for the absolute long term. His other big card that I'm keeping an eye on, and this isn't like a big rookie or anything, but to me, this is probably his, in my personal opinion, one of his best non-rookie cards. And that is the Chalk Toss. 2008 Topps Chrome, PSA 10, PSA 9. I have this in a PSA 9 paper, and boy, the Chrome has really fallen. It was 1,900. Once again, this is a 14-day chart on this one. I went back a little bit further, but you can see the trend line here. This was going for around 1,900, is down now to basically 1,400. This one ended at 1,375 2 days ago. I could tell you one sold Saturday for just over 14. So maybe 14 is the bottom on this card. But it's down 27% over a 2-week period. Once again, the 9 has not moved as much. So it's weird that the 10s are taking the bigger hit. It seems like anything high dollar is really getting beat up. We saw it last week with the KD Topps Chrome. We're seeing it with Giannis stuff. Like these high thousand to over $1,000 cards are really taking a beating, where the stuff sub 1,000 is also taking a beating, but just not as big a one. So I just don't know if it's more people are dumping the higher price stuff to get more money out, or what the deal is. But that does seem to be a trend. So in general, LeBron's, in my opinion, two of his more key cards are down quite a bit. The other big one that I'm keeping an eye on, and I've linked to this on YouTube and on Twitter. Maybe I'll put it in the description down below. If you just want to keep an eye on it, I doubt any of you are looking to buy it. Maybe I'm wrong. There is a Topps Chrome Refractor PSA 10 on PWCC that ends tomorrow night, or ends tonight. Sorry, Sunday night. At about 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's currently at 65K with bids. I think the last one did close to 260, 280. So I will be curious to see where this one ends at 65. I am very curious to see where this one ends, because one has not sold in a couple of months, at least on eBay anyway. There could have been a golden sale or something else like that reported, but I have not seen it. I did not go on a field trip looking for it, but I just checked eBay comps, and the last eBay comp to sell was in March, I believe. The market was a much different place in March, so I'd be very curious to see what this refractor ends at. So that's enough LeBron chit chat. Giannis, and once again, these prices are before the game tonight. So obviously they lost game one. His stuff's been trending down, so I'll be curious to see if this takes another hit as people look to sell off. Once again, this is a 7-day chart. So over the last 7 days, he's down 10% on his PSA 10, 20% on his PSA 9. And we'll see where this goes. This card could absolutely tank if they get bounced, especially if the Nets are without Harden the entire time, or it could flip the script. My guess is this going to go up and down. This is probably going to yo-yo throughout this series, assuming they come back and win a game or whatever, and he looks good. It'll probably slightly spike back up again. If it looks like they're going to win the series, it'll probably move quite a bit. If it doesn't, then it'll probably go down again. In my opinion, whoever wins this series is coming out of the East. The 76ers are probably not going to have Joel Embiid, and if they do, he is not going to be healthy and not going to be able to play much. In fact, I think the Hawks beat them. And then I think the Hawks would lose to whatever one of these two teams comes out of this series. And then that would be either a Nets or Bucks NBA Finals against who the hell knows, because the West is wild. Wild. The West is going to be a blast. Speaking of Trae Young and the Hawks, he is one of the players that has seen a nice boost this week. Doing this one a little bit different. Let me zoom in on this. Rather than charts and graphs, what I did here was do price movements by cards, PSA 10, 2018, filtered by Trae Young, just to kind of get an idea of which Trae cards are selling and how much they've gone up the last 7 days. So interestingly enough, his base Prism is actually down 5%. Everything else other than select concourse, down 5% as well, is in the green. Don Russ paper base up 10%. Hoops up 8%. Optic base up 20%. What else do we have? Revolution up 30%. A lot of Revolution love the last couple days. A lot of people talking up Revolution, myself included. Select Premier up 5%, and then a few other freshman phenom inserts and stuff like that. But number one in sales, Prism base, obviously. Number two, Don Russ paper, then Hoops, then Prism silver, then Optic. Optic, pretty low pop count, actually. I have one of those floating around in a PSA 10. I like the look of that card. But yeah, Trae Young, one of the few players to see a nice bump this week as they move on. And like I said, I think they're heading for the Eastern Conference Finals. I do think they handle the 76ers. That Hawks team is good. Let's just take a quick little peek at Zion. Last 7 days continues to trend down another 15%, down $75, and about to go below $400 on his PSA 10. So he has taken a beating, not surprised. Down market. and hurt and high pop base. I might do a deeper dive on Zion specifically to see how his prices have fared in the more rare stuff. But it gets tricky. It's nice to say numbered cards have held up better, and that it very well could be the case, but it's hard to tell because they just don't sell often. So you can't get good comps because they rarely sell. You know, if you're talking out of a 175 card or even a 299 or whatever, those cards just don't come up very often. And especially a lot of people aren't looking to sell that stuff right now with the market in the downward spiral that it's in. So it's just hard to really tell if that is actually the case. So you use some of the other stuff to see what's going on. Ideally, if I had a bunch of data, it would make life a little bit easier to tell if the numbered stuff, how the numbered stuff's holding up against the non-numbered. But the low pop numbered stuff also does seem to be getting beat up pretty good. But maybe we'll do a little deeper investigation into that later in the week. But the big news here is that Zion base Prism is about to go below 400 and crack into the 300s. So once again, I ask, what is the floor of this card? How much lower is it going to go? Because it's just a straight, slow and steady. Here's the 30-day. Just a straight, slow, steady decline. Over the last 30, she's down 33%, $200 drop. And like I said, where's the bottom? At some point in time, the hate's going to go too far on Prism Base. I get it. There's 18,000 of them, whatever. But at some point in time, the hate's going to go too far. And people are going to buy these, and they will be able to flip them for a profit at the beginning of the season. That is my prediction. The question is, though, where's the bottom? That's what we don't know. Another person, or another player, rather, that had a nice little bump, Michael Porter Jr., as they move on to the next round of the NBA playoffs. And he played extremely well in that closeout game against the Trailblazers. We see Porter stuff up pretty much across the board. Number of sales, top one, not surprising. Prism Base up 10%, Optic Base up 25%, Prism Silver up 16%, and Red, White, and Blue up 20%, just to name a few. So his stuff seems to be moving well. I'm a big MPJ fan. I'm not looking to necessarily buy in right now because I don't, as well as they played against the Trailblazers, I just don't know that they have enough to get to the actual NBA Finals. Maybe they do. They looked good against the Blazers because the Blazers play literally no defense. So I'll be curious to see what they look like up against an actual real team. And the Suns are a legit real team. And then if they get through them, they have a date with the Jazz. So, you know, then you're dealing with Rudy Gobert, and they actually have someone that can match up with the Joker. Speaking of the Suns, one of the other big winners of the week, Devin Booker. Nice bounce back. He got all the way down to sub 700. He's up to 850 after that monster closeout game against the Lakers. 25% increase, up $175. And to be honest, most of this happened all in the last 2 days. Basically, since that game, he saw a massive bump up. He's extremely popular. We will see what happens. This card will keep going depending on how the player plays and how the team does. That's pretty much where we are in the present day. Donovan Mitchell also seen some bumps, not much, kind of stayed right in the middle. People not buying into the Mitchell hype yet. I think people are sleeping on Mitchell. He's going to have a big game, and they are probably going to win next round. As much as I love Luka, you could tell that team is a player short. The Dallas Mavericks need another actual real NBA player because Porzingis is not it. They could very well win Game 7. We'll see. But the Clippers seem to maybe have figured them out. But if any time for the Clippers, it would be a Game 7 at home. But Kawhi did look good. Leonard looked absolutely fantastic in Game 6. He had that massive stretch in the third quarter where he just took the game over. So we'll see if they can close out the Mavs at home. I don't know, but I think the Jazz handle whoever wins that series, no problem. The Jazz are really good. I shouldn't say no problem because I am a little worried about the Conley injury, but I think the Jazz can get through that series regardless of who comes out of the Mavs and Clippers. But Mitchell stuff really hasn't moved much. 3% up on his optic, which is basically nothing. 4% down on his prism, which is basically nothing. And his select sitting right at 300, a 2% change, basically nothing over the last 7 days. If you are a big believer in the Jazz, I think Mitchell is 100% a play. I had bought the stuff physical. I bought the one PSA 10 Prism and the two optics about a month or two ago. I doubled down. I think I talked about this in the Friday NBA video and bought more Donovan Mitchell PSA 10s. I bought 3 Prism base PSA 10s and an optic PSA 10. So I'm all in on Donovan Mitchell, I guess. I didn't really feel great about doubling down on that, but the prices were reasonable in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. Wrapping up here, going to talk about baseball briefly. I'm not going to touch on football this week. Really, not much has happened in the football market. And I think I'm going to do a deeper dive into football, kind of look at like a 60 or 90 day and how that market has kind of held up or not held up in some cases compared to what the NBA market's been doing. So that might be a video for later this week. But in general, the football market's basically been doing what the football market has been doing. Guys go down one week, they recover the next week. We're talking 5-10% changes one way or the other. It's very bouncing around right now, but nothing's really cratering, in my opinion, or anything like that. Baker Mayfield's seen a decent pullback, which is interesting because I do think I thought his stuff was undervalued even at its old prices. So it looks even more undervalued now. So that's the football talk for today. But let's dig into baseball really quick. Tatis stuff seems to be slowly heating up. His tops base creeping up to about $230. Those were down to 180. They were still, as of late this afternoon, readily available on Star Stock for like 180. I had bought a couple. It looks like they've snuck up to 215 at time of recording. I don't know where they end up at. And just in general, once again, if you're looking to buy graded cards, at least check Star Stock first. I've been finding stuff well below current eBay comps on there. Not everything is, but you could definitely find deals on stuff on there. So at least check before you run the eBay to make a purchase. Acuna stuff up slightly. Once again, this is kind of like, this is why I didn't really call out anything specifically. The top moving cards this week are all not really doing much. You see Tatis, Acuna, and Soto are all up slightly. Soto to me is still being slept on. He's had an absolutely monster week. He seems like he's starting to warm up. The other one that seems really undervalued right now, and I know his stuff has gotten recent bumps, is Vlad. Vlad's prices compared to Soto, Acuna, and Tatis seem cheap. To me, he is quickly approaching their level. Some people are already putting him on that level. I said I'd like to see him do it for a full season, but man, is he having a year already. And his stuff seems pretty cheap comparative to the other big three. Otani stuff kind of flattened out this week. Lubob continues to kind of tank. He still has not really found the bottom in a lot of his stuff, so maybe still hold off if you're looking to make Lubob moves. I don't know, especially like his PSA 9s and stuff are so cheap. I just think those could be easy, quick flip potentials. So nothing too deep dive into baseball. Once again, it was kind of just a quiet week in the baseball world, in my opinion, at least card price wise. But baseball continues to be, I don't want to say it's safe because nothing's really safe, but of the 3 major, baseball prices have held up the best and continue to hold up the best in the downswing. I would definitely like to pick up some refractors of key players. That is on my radar. If one comes across my desk at a reasonable price of really any one of the 4 players we just mentioned, I would at least take a hard look at it. I've mentioned this before. I'm in a weird place right now where there is stuff I want to go get, but the national is looming. And I know it's quite a ways away, but it's in the back of my mind that it's there. And I would like to kind of save for that, but that could be a mistake. things could be overpriced there. I might not be able to get deals, so I should just take, if I find something that I want, just pull the trigger on it. So we'll see. I've just become very selective the last few weeks, between the downturn in the market and also with the national looming. That pretty much does it for this week. I do want to do a Sunday spotlight really quick, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this puppy up. So don't forget the YouTube nonsense down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Affiliate links, all that jazz. And then let's go hit the Sunday spotlight and wrap this puppy up. Today for Sunday Spotlight, we have another comic book channel. I've just been watching way more comic book content lately. So if you're into the comic book stuff, we have another comic book channel for Sunday Spotlight this week, and that is Journo's Comics and Pop Culture. Uh, Really good channel. Does some cool top 10 lists of stuff. Seems like a pretty genuine, down the earth dude. I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately. I found him actually, it was not on my radar, and he did a team up with Swaggle who I do watch all the time. And I was impressed with him with a live that he did on there, which then led me down the rabbit hole of his channel. So I've only been watching him for about 3 or 4 weeks now. I forget when that live was that he did with him. But I kind of did like a rabbit hole thing where I was just kind of like watching everything on there. And he puts out a lot of content. I've been watching all his new stuff since, for the most part. So Journo's Comics and Pop Culture, very good comic book channel. Like I said, I've been enjoying the content that he's been putting out there. So that's all I have for you guys and girls today. I think maybe as you're watching this, I'm at the Youngstown show. There is a new Youngstown card show today, Sunday, at the Holiday Inn in Boardman, Ohio, from 9 a.m. to, I forget the ending time. So there's a decent shot I'm there right now as you're watching this. I haven't decided. I have a very busy weekend already with a lot of running around with the Card Collector 2 trade night and all that. But I have cash in my pocket from selling the raw stuff, and I'm at least interested to check out a new show. So I might be roaming around that. We'll see what time I get up in the morning. I'm not going to set an alarm. Whatever happens, happens. So I mentioned earlier, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube nonsense. Catch you guys and girls on Monday for Marvel Mondays. Peace.